afternoon, President Trump held a cabinet meeting where he covered a variety of different topics, including border security and the shutdown. It appears as though Trump is not budging on his demand for $5 billion in wall funding, saying the government, well, it'll remain shut down for as long as it takes. Let's take a listen.
No, look. This is national security we're talking about, just like we talk about the military, just like we're talking about Syria or Afghanistan or all these different places. I mean, we spend in Afghanistan more in 1 month than what we're talking about for the wall. Think of that. Okay, that's another way. We spend in Afghanistan more money than most countries spend, except a few. Okay, it's ridiculous. The $5.6 billion is such a small number. Literally, it's a month. It's 1 month in Afghanistan, and we're talking about national security. This isn't just a border. This is national security. This is health and wellness. This is everything.
How long are you willing to keep the government shut down now in order to get?
As long as it takes. I mean, look, I'm prepared. I think the people of the country think I'm right. I think the people of this country think I'm right.
And here to discuss is former New York Congressman John Leboutillier. Congressman, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, John.
All right, John. President Trump invited Democratic leaders over to the White House today for a border security briefing. But when it was over, incoming Speaker Nancy Pelosi, addressed reporters. She said no deal was made over border security and they're no closer to a compromise. But the president did invite all parties back for more talks on Friday. So what do you think that means? Does one of them see an opening? Are they both standing firm, John? And maybe Trump sees a little wiggle room, so he thinks, give it a couple of days, bring them back on Friday. Maybe we'll reach a deal?
Well, you never know what Trump's thinking, because a week ago when the talks were ongoing and he had his new incoming acting chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney, go up to the Hill, he said on TV, we've come down from $5 billion. Now, he goes up there and talks to the Democrats, and Trump then tweets out, no, we haven't come down. So unless there's some movement, nothing's going to happen, And with Trump, the hard thing is you don't know what he's up to. He had agreed to keep the government open with Mitch McConnell. They passed on a voice vote a continuing resolution with no wall money in it. And the next day, Trump got blasted by Rush Limbaugh and all of them. So he then reneged on his agreement to keep it open. So with Trump, it's like nailing Jell-O to the wall. You don't know what his position is. The Democrats are quite clear. They've been consistent all along. They'll put $1.3 billion in this continuing resolution for border security, specifically stating none of it can be used to build new sections of wall. And by the way, there has not been 1 inch of new wall built under Trump. He tweeted out today that they built most of it already. I don't know where he's coming from because it hasn't been built.
But let me ask you this, John. His position has been relatively unchanged now for at least a month. He said he wants that $5 billion, $5.6 billion. That number seems to go back and forth. He really hasn't come off that. So can we now be seeing Trump defining his position on this? He's at $5.5 billion. They're at $1.3 billion. They've got to meet at a number both can live with. I would say that's a pretty good indication of where Trump is.
Well, it might be where he is today in the cabinet room, but 2 Thursdays ago, he told Mitch McConnell, I'll support a continuing resolution with no money in it for the wall. And the next morning, he reneged on that agreement. So I don't think you know where he's at. I know this.
Yeah, I think a lot of that.
He's not getting $5 billion. He's not going to get the $5 billion. So he's going to, if he wants to ever open the government back, he's going to have to come down off of that. He's going to have.
Why don't you think he'll get it? Why won't he get the $5 billion? Like he says, it's less than a month in Afghanistan. Is this really the hill Democrats want to die on? We saw a police officer killed by an illegal alien. We see another story today, a 27-year-old illegal raped a young teenage girl.
They're not dying on any hill. They're winning this battle. The polling shows the majority or the plurality of people, 47%, blame this thing on Trump. Only 33% blame it on the Democrats. They just keep running that tape on every show of Trump saying, I'll take the blame, I'll take the mantle for the shutdown. Then a week later, he's trying to call it the Schumer shutdown. That doesn't work. He initiated this shutdown. And so I promise you, he's going to have to come down off of $5 billion, or they're not going to make a deal. It's just not going to happen. They have all the cards.
All right, let me ask you, John, let me ask you about this. You wrote an op-ed for The Hill, and in that op-ed, you gave some predictions. You say Trump goes, unexpected candidate emerges in 2019. You list 30 predictions for 2019. Do you really not see Trump running for re-election in 2020, or do you think he runs and loses? Secondly, who might that unexpected candidate be?
I don't see him making it through 2019. Forget 2020 and running again. He is in deep political and legal trouble right now. That since the midterm election, in which almost entirely because of Trump, the Republicans lost the House of Representatives, his political standing is weakened by that. But that's not fatal.
But John, in fairness, John, the party, but the party in the White House typically loses seats in their first midterm.
I was going to say, if you'd let me finish, that by itself is not politically fatal. But I'm trying to make the point that Trump is in a period of decline, both politically and legally, that since the midterm election, he's been named in 2 federal indictments as individual one. He has 17 different criminal investigations into him, his organization, his foundation, his charity, his golf courses, all of it. I mean, this stuff is a heavy, heavy weight upon any human being, especially a sitting president. And his behavior since the midterm election of firing people like General Mattis, who he finally admitted today that he fired him, and having 5 cabinet officers now who are acting cabinet officers, gets rid of his chief of staff, can't get anybody to take the job, so he gives it to Mick Mulvaney, who's keeping his other gig. This is a downward presidency, and I promise you in 2019, it's all going to crash down on Trump. He will not be president a year.
He has not risen. Trump has not risen to the mantle of the presidency. Now, earlier today, I spoke with former Trump campaign manager Corey